me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam!
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What's up, film fans? Welcome to episode 272. Welcome to Barbie, and welcome to the Cine-Men movie podcast.
You like that, old man?
I'm your host, Juan, and I am joined by the crew, the cast. Ella.
Hello.
Zach.
Hello, what's up, guys?
And special guest, Daniela. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving out there to everybody. We're just a day away. We're pre-Turkey Day. So it's gonna be quite a night, quite an evening. Hope everybody has a great day tomorrow. How's everybody's week been? Good week?
A little stressful, but overall pretty good.
It's going. Like you said, the big holidays tomorrow, and then we're off to the end of the race for the end of the year.
My son's been off of school all week. It's been fun.
So you've been wanting to pull your hair out?
A little bit, but it's fine. It's fine.
Man, huge thank you to everybody who downloaded last week's episode and got to talk to Chuck and Carolina from Florida with their brand new movie, The American Ripper. You guys want to go back and check out that episode last week. You can listen to it wherever you listen to podcasts. Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music. We also reviewed the lengthy Mission Impossible 7 Dead Reckoning Part 1. So go back and listen to that episode. This week, though, we're talking about the highest grossing movie of the year so far. And we don't think anybody's going to take that title away from it, but it's Barbie. Mm-hmm. We're also, Daniela, you're here joining us, talking to us about... What are you talking to us about today?
So today I love that I'm able to jump in on Barbie, just because one of their whole themes is Barbie can be anything. And recently I just got into the field of real estate, and a big theme in Barbie is just like they're trying to make the world a better place. And I feel like I can kind of get on board with that. And so, yeah, I'm here to talk a little bit about real estate and then my journey and how I got into that.
Good.
So so I guess I'm just going to go jump right in and tell you guys how I became like this newest little real estate Barbie. So whenever I got into my home buying process, I literally had no idea what I was doing. I just went online and was applying for pre-approvals for mortgages, and I got a couple of people back, and it was just like, it was uncharted waters for sure. But I knew at that point in my life, I was like, I want to have a home, and I want something that I can like pass on to like my family. And if anything ever happens, and I want to have something that is tangible. And like the best thing is that they always tell you is real estate. And so whenever I started my home buying process, didn't know what I was doing, didn't have any resources. And at some point I lucked out, and a friend, I just asked her, I was like, oh, how's your business going? She was just like, it's going good. And I was just like, oh, well, if you ever need a client, I would love to have you on. She was like, oh my God, girl, I wanted to offer, but I just didn't want to cross any boundaries or anything like that. And it changed my whole experience. She got me in contact with the right lender. She got me in contact with the right, the right programs. I was able to get down payment assistance. And so then now I have my own home at the age of 32. So I finally have something that is mine, and it's just me. And I was able to go through that process, and it was so overwhelming whenever I was trying to go at it alone. And it was a breath of fresh air to have somebody that who cares about your best interest, that's able to guide you through that process. And I know that the big conception is oh, real estate agents are just trying to take your money. But I kind of thought about that at first, oh, well, yeah, you're going to be making a commission off me. And then I really had to reframe my perspective in that whole experience and think that if I am going to pay a commission to somebody, I would rather it go to somebody who I know is looking out for me and has my best interest in mind. And after that, I feel like everything was just smooth like butter. I feel like there was a couple of rough bumps there, but it had nothing to do with my real estate agent. And I feel like that kind of got me in the process of well, I would love to be able to make money and do something that is beneficial for other people. And I think one of the biggest limiting beliefs that I've had in my life is that in order to do good for other people, you kind of have to prescribe to this life of poverty and like you can't make money if you're helping other people. And I feel like, and also I'm in therapy. So I feel like, we talk about that every once in a while too. And so she's like, well, if that's a limiting belief, like, why do you have to make money? Like, why do you have to make money and like be a bad person? Like, there's a lot of people who have money who do good. And, I was like, you're absolutely right. Like, this lady over here is helping me, guiding me through this process. And again, if I had to give my money to anybody, I would rather it go to somebody who I know is helping me rather than just somebody who's out there to earn a commission. And so I went to real estate school, got like in contact with a woman who taught the class, and she was telling me a little bit about her business. And one of the reasons that like I knew that I was making the right decision is she would talk a lot about how if you're a real estate agent, you really need to go to chamber meetings. You need to be involved in local politics. You need to be involved in like your city. You need to give back to your community. And I'm in OKC, so one of the things she was saying was just like, if you're going to be a real estate agent in OKC and you're going to be making money off of the Oklahoma City populace, you need to be doing something to give back to Oklahoma City. And at that moment, I was like, I want to work with this lady because I feel like she's doing it for the right reasons. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. You can make money doing this. However, it's like, you're going to feel good about it. And I feel like that's something that that rings a little true to me because there's so many different avenues in which you can make money, but you would rather feel good about it at the end of the day. And then home buying is one of the biggest choices and biggest decisions that somebody's going to have to make in their life. And some people, that's like the only time they're going to buy a home. And so I would rather be the person guiding you through the process and just like, hey, let me help you get the best deal possible. Let me try and find something that works for you and your family and even get you in contact with the right lenders and even like the right insurance people instead of just trying to make a quick buck. And I feel like that's the conception that a lot of people have is just like, oh, they're just trying to make quick money. And it's like, yeah, everybody wants to make money and everybody wants to have nice things. Everybody wants to build a life for themselves, but there's a way that you can do it while also serving the public. And I feel like that mindset shift for me was like, this is a service to other people. And you're actually like, you're doing this for like a better reason other than just trying to make money. And I know personally, like I have a pretty decent work ethic, so I'm going to make money regardless, but I would rather help people in that process. And one thing is like, I do genuinely care about the well-being of others. And especially if you're a client, it's just like, I want this to be the easiest process for you. And so ultimately, like that was my whole journey through like why I decided to get into real estate and even sign on with the brokerage that I did, which it's Ariston Realty. And I work under Linda Tracy with Selling OKC. So that my Facebook is going to be Danny Sells OKC. So you guys can always find me there. And I'm really glad that I kind of got in on the Barbie side of it, because I think that one of the things with Barbie was finding her identity and finding a way that she feels good about herself and the way that she progresses her life. Because initially she's just like this image and she's like, okay, well, what was I made for? What am I trying to do? And I feel like I went through a similar journey as well, where it's like, well, what do I want to do with my life? And I know that I've always wanted to help people. And I've always been interested in like the home buying process, but I was always like, there was that fear of like, how can I do this and actually feel good about it? And I think ultimately it's that mindset shift of like, you can do this for the right reasons and you can actually help people in the process. And so that's kind of what guided me, is also just like listening to myself. And I feel like that's also what Barbie did, is at some point she stopped listening to everybody else. She's like, hey, I'm going to do what feels right for me, which is going back into the real world. And I'm going to go through all of these human experiences. And so, yeah, I felt like I kind of tied into that with like Barbie a little bit, where she's like, you can be anything that you want to be, but you have to like do it for the right reasons and make sure that they ring true to yourself.
Good. You also have, so we can find you at Danny Sells OKC on Facebook. You're in the process of selling people, technically their Barbie dream home.
Yes. And, even if you're looking for your Mojo Dojo Casa house, like I got you there too.
If you want, send the links and we can add the links into the the page whenever the show uploads on audio. That way, whenever they click the link on Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, iHeartRadio, your link will be attached to the episode as well. Um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, send that link in the private chat, and we can also put it up on the YouTube channel. Before we get out of here, and you go cook an amazing Thanksgiving dinner, what is your star rating for Barbie? 1 out of 10. What would you give it?
So, I was giving this a lot of thought, and then I had to think into like so many different aspects of it. So sorry, I'm gonna take a few more minutes of your time because I
No,
had
go
to
for
think
it.
about like the set design was amazing. Loved it. I felt like it was so well done and like down to every single details. They had a star-studded cast. All of the acting was, I would say, pretty good, if not like really good. I really liked it. I feel like the part that really lacked for me was a little bit more on the plot side because I feel like I could kind of see how they were going with it, and like I feel like that kernel, that nugget was really there. But I feel like, and even the soundtrack, loved it, thought it was great, and so I feel like I have to. For me, I would love to give it a 10, but I'd probably have to say that's about an 8.
Hey, sounds about right. And I just hope with all the good soundtrack and the music and the choreography with the dancing, I really do hope they put something together for the Oscars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it would be pretty fun.
The soundtrack by itself has already got like 11 Grammy nominations, so
Oh
it's gonna
wow.
be a contender this year.
As it
So,
should be. As it should be.
but if you guys, like she said, if you guys want to follow her on Facebook, Danny Sells OKC. She gives Barbie an 8. Is there anything else you want to add or put in before we let you go?
No, I think I kind of got it all there. Thought it was a great movie. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely recommend it, especially if you have any little girls. I thought it was a really nice take on Barbie and how like it did address some of the issues that people have had with Barbie over the years. And I think they kind of played it out really nicely. And so I would definitely recommend it for anybody, especially if you have a little girl.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you, Daniela. I want to say thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. And we're always here if you ever want to hop on.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, and hope to be on the podcast again in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy
Bye.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
So,
There you go.
real estate, Barbie Dream House. What a way to kick off the episode. Like I said, you guys can follow us on the social media as well. Black Friday is coming up, so that means all kind of giveaways are going to be popping up on the podcast. You can reach us at facebook.com/the Cinnamon Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, Cinnamon Movie Podcast. Find us on X at Cinnamon405. And then the email bag is cinemen921@gmail.com. Zach, we'll start with you, man. Do you have anything that you recently watched or checked out that you want to recommend to anybody?
Yeah. Went to the theater several times this weekend. Checked out The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
That's
Really,
already out.
yeah, really liked it. Honestly, I think it's one of the better films that they've done in that franchise. I went and saw The Marvels. I don't get the hate for this movie. I really don't. They're saying it's as worse as like Eternals or Quantumania. No, it's a way better film than that. When started watching Oppenheimer, I'm like 2.5 hours in, so I got 30 more minutes to go for next week's episode. And then actually, Johnny will be surprised. I went and saw Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice.
So the new Eli Roth movie. Pretty fun movie. And then the definitely highlight is the new Godzilla show on Apple TV, Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Really fun. We're 2 episodes in. I think the 3rd episode came out yesterday. I mean, Kurt Russell and Godzilla. What more do you need, truthfully? So
is it a show about the other characters, or is Godzilla in this one? And how does it link into the legendary movies that have recently came out?
So it is in the legendary franchise. So it does take place in that universe. It's set. It goes back and forth because Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt play the same character at different time points. So the younger character is set before Kong Skull Island, and then the Kurt Russell character is set a year after the 2014 Godzilla. So it's like I said, it's in the same universe where it's not up to where we are currently with like Godzilla versus Kong and the new one that's coming out next year. But it's like it's essentially it's like right after the events of the first film, but the first 2014 Godzilla. So
Have you seen Godzilla in the show so far?
yes, yeah, he shows up I think in the first episode, and then
How
you
do,
also get other monsters as well.
budget wise, how does he look compared to the
It
Godzilla that's in the movies?
truthfully, I think
Looks
I
the
know
same.
this is crazy. He looks better than he does in the films. Like the budget looks like it's for a feature length film in this
Okay,
franchise. So
good.
check out Monarch on Apple TV, Hunger Games, and hell, go see Thanksgiving slasher for Thanksgiving tomorrow. So
Nice. Um, Ella, do you check anything fun out recently that you want to mention to us? Or
I
anything
mean,
you've been
I'm that
binging?
I'm that creature of habit. So I watched Beetlejuice again the other day.
Yes.
It's so good. I just really wanted to watch it. It was past Halloween and all that, but I'm like, no, it's Beetlejuice time anytime.
That's true.
Um,
Don't say it 3 times.
and then I'm kind of behind on the TV stuff, but we just finished What We Do in the Shadows season 5. That was it was okay. I feel like they've had better seasons in the past, but it's not terrible.
is Taika involved in that, or is it just like based off his movie?
No, he's completely involved in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then we also finished watching Gen V on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys watched any of The Boys or any of those shows? Oh my gosh,
I've heard
seen
good
the
things.
first season of The Boys.
So good. I love The Boys. It was. I can't. They have another season coming out in 2024. They're season 4 now. And Gen V, it just ended on a cliffhanger. So basically, I'm pretty sure they're just gonna like tie it all in. So it'll just be one show, I imagine. But
Okay.
I'm excited about it.
Good. And the Boys. I've only seen the first season, but I'm a huge Watchmen. I love the Watchmen, and that's kind of what it reminds me of. So,
Fair enough.
I'll rapid fire through mine. I watched Old Dads on Netflix, the Bill Burr movie.
Oh yeah.
Hilarious. It's worth a watch. Started some Christmas movies binge with Fred Claus, Die Hard, Holiday Inn. Checked out Barbie for today's episode. Gran Turismo is my highlight so far of the week, and
It's a good movie.
it's a good movie. It's real to me. It's a phenomenal film. I didn't expect it to be that good. Even the 2 hours and 15 minutes that there is, it just flies by. It zooms by, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But you know what? It reminded me of the Chris Helmsworth.
Rush.
Rush.
Yeah.
So,
And I know it's based off the video games, but it does not feel like a video game movie at all, honestly.
Mm-mm. But I highly recommend it. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere yet.
I don't think so, not yet.
But you know what? Go pick up the physical media. I'm always pushing physical media, so go pick it up. And then it's not on physical media, and it probably won't be. But I checked out Adam Sandler's new movie, the animated movie Leo, on Netflix. It's Adam Sandler. It's phenomenal. It's funny. I'm a little biased. If you want to go watch something fun this holiday weekend with the family, put Leo on Netflix and just listen to the Sandman talk. He's fabulous. But yeah, other than that, guys, that's it. Let's with Thanksgiving just hours away, whether it's food, football, family, music, whatever we do during the holiday season, we have to make a top 5 list out of it. So why not? So that's what we're getting ready to do. We are talking all about our top 5 favorite Thanksgiving faves. All right, excuse me. Top 5 Thanksgiving Day faves. I'll rapid fire through my honorable mentions. If anybody else has any, go ahead. Pies, cranberry sauce, and my official honorable mention: discounted Black Friday Blu-rays.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Anybody else? No.
My top 5 are honorable mentions.
Go ahead if you have any top 5. Go ahead and do you have any honorable mentions?
Oh no, I don't have any honorable mentions.
All right.
I didn't think about that, but
You're good. Go ahead and go through your 5.
My 5th one is the Macy's Day Parade and Dog Show. Lot on the Dog Show. That's something we do every year with my family. We'll just get up in the morning and watch that. And number 4 is deviled eggs. Deviled eggs are amazing. My aunt makes them. They're so good. She makes like 3 different kinds of them.
Oof.
Turkey and dressing. My grandma makes a whole extra turkey for her dressing, and it's amazing. Like, she makes the best dressing. I'm sure of it. Lemon meringue pie. She also makes that, and that's my favorite. And then my number 1 is potato casserole. That's something my mom makes. It's potatoes, little smokies, and Velveeta cheese. It's really simple, but me and my mom will always go and like cook before, like that's where I'm going to be going after this is over. Is I'm going to go cook with her and get those casseroles knocked out. She does broccoli and cheese as well. But
Johnny drilling over there. Why don't you get you a rag?
Hey. It's
a good casserole.
That's a great top 5 list. It's making me hungry. I think I might just call into work tonight so I can start cooking tonight. I'll rapid fire through my 5 real quick. Number 5, it's not Thanksgiving unless I get to watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And I went through this list thinking of like it sounds like a Family Feud answer, like, oh, good answer. So that's what I think of when we rapid fire through these lists sometimes. Number 4, days off, just days off of work,
25 points. Yep.
Yeah, 25 points. Sitting at home, not worrying about anything. Number 3, the family, the friends, just the time being surrounded by people that, are there and ready to just eat. Number 2,
eating brings us together.
Eating does bring us together. Number 2, the Dallas Cowboys. It's not Thanksgiving unless the Cowboys are playing. I don't care. I always have to eat it between 3 and 5 o'clock is when dinner is. I don't want to eat after and watch somebody else play. I don't want to eat before and watch the Thanksgiving Day Parade. That has to be on the TV when I eat. And then number 1, the ham and turkey. Gotta have both. I don't know what it is. They go good together like peanut butter and jelly. So, but yeah, that's mine. Zach, what about you?
Same as you guys. Rapid going through mine. Number 5 is the sales, Black Friday sales. Like you said, you got to get some cheap Blu-rays and 4Ks when you got a chance. Even though Black Friday is not really Black Friday anymore, sales really start at the second week of November and go all the way through. Number 4, the food. We're gonna do a little something different this year. We got some Swadleys and brought it home, and got some sausage chicken, some green beans, corn. So a little something different. Number 3, the TV schedule, like you guys mentioned, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, Ella the Dog Show. I'm so glad I'm not going to be the only one on this episode mentioning that. And then, like you said, Johnny, football. Really, whoever's playing, we'll watch. And usually,
no, Zach, it's not whoever's playing.
It's
Make
Cowboys.
sure you watch the Dallas Cowboys.
And usually on NBC, they used to have a tradition of showing like the animated Grinch and then the Jim Carrey version, like right after a football game or something. But I don't think they're doing that this year. Number 2, we're in the end game of the year. We got 5 weeks to go before 2024, and unfortunately, it's going to go fast. It's going to fast and furious, and before you know it, it'll be Christmas.
Oof.
And then number 1, tradition. Honestly, we kind of do the same thing every year. Me and my mom we'll eat. We'll probably go catch a movie this year. I think we're going to go see Napoleon tomorrow or on Friday and put up the rest of the Christmas decorations. So that's just kind of a tradition we have.
Napoleon is calling my name early Friday morning. I think I have to go see that. The more and more I see trailers for it, yeah, it does. It looks like an event, and I think I'm going to be excited to see that one.
Absolutely. But before we get to Napoleon, we got to talk about Barbie.
We have to talk about Barbie, and let's get to it. IMDb currently has it at a 7.9. Rotten Tomatoes is at 88%. The Metascore is at 80%, and the Google users like it at 77%. With a July 21st of this year release date, the budget, get this, was $130 million. It grossed a little over $1.4 billion at the box office. It was a complete phenomenal sensation with everybody this year. Um, Barbie suffers a crisis that leads her to question her world and her existence, starring Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, Issa Rae, Kate McKinnon, Alexandra Shipp. You also have John Cena, Simu Liu, Michael
America
Cera,
Ferrera. Yeah, Michael
America
Cera.
Ferrera,
Will
Rhea
Ferrell.
Perlman, Will Ferrell,
Farrell.
um, Helen Mirren, and then written and directed by Greta Gerwig. Guys, let's talk about it. It, like we said, everybody was talking about it this past summer. Um, let's get into it. The first time you've seen it compared to now, Ella, did you get to check this out in the theater, or
I
did you?
did.
No.
No, I watched it when it came out the first weekend. I wasn't missing Barbie. I just like every other little girl. That was my thing. I love Barbie. So I was there in my pink dress and taking all the pictures just like everyone else. So it
Good.
was fun. It was a fun time. And then just like in the theater, I was like sobbing, like, oh, it's so relatable. This is just my life. Um, and then rewatching it now, just it still holds up. It was a great movie.
It does hold up. Zach, let's get your thoughts now. The first time you went and saw it compared to the rewatch, how was it?
Oh yeah, I did check this out in the theater. I didn't do the Barbenheimer experience. I did Oppenheimer the first week, Barbie the next. And I'll, we'll get into it as we go. But I was really one of the naysayers. Like there's no way this is going to work. Obviously it has a good cast, and Greta Gerwig is a phenomenal director with Lady Bird and Little Women. But walking out, I had a freaking blast with it. And on the rewatch, this rewatch really cemented that this really is a good movie. They really took their time and effort and put all the creativity into it, and it'll be fun to talk about.
You always fear what you don't understand,
Yeah.
and I was not a naysayer going into this one just because it was, Greta Gerwig, and I'm a sucker for A24, so I always got to go support the director. After they have a huge success after their A24 debut, and I was like, man, this is going to be fun. Ryan Gosling can sing, Margot Robbie's phenomenal. So I was game, and I went into it with great expectation. Had a phenomenal time. It was fun. The music, the directing, the comedy, the soundtrack, everything. And then this second time around, and then I watched it today, the third time around with my daughter, and we loved it. It's a phenomenal film. So,
What was that experience like watching it with your daughter?
she went with me to the theater, then watching it at home too. She didn't get a lot of the jokes, obviously, thank God, but it was still phenomenal, and she had fun with it. She loved the music, she loved the soundtrack, um, she loved how nitwitted and dumbfounded some of the characters were. Um, it was just it was fun, honestly, and seeing her eyes just sitting there looking at, the first 5 minutes with um, Margot Robbie popping up on the screen, and uh, the well, now everybody I guess calls it the Ric Flair music, but the music that pops up when she's popping up, which used to be, I guess, the Elvis intro when Elvis popped up back in the day. Uh,
The 2001 Space Odyssey
I thought,
parody at the beginning,
yeah,
that cemented the whole theme, like feeling for this movie. Is like, okay, so they're going to take this seriously, but not, they're going to be self-aware, but kind of be serious about it. And that opening is just like, that is hysterical to me.
Yeah, it was a great
yeah.
opening.
And I think if you don't like that first 5 minute view, and if you don't understand it, like, you're not gonna like this movie.
Yeah.
And I know there's so many people that are been hating on it and trashing on it, but like I said, you truly fear what you don't understand, and I think a lot of people just don't understand what they were trying to put their point across if you don't enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and I know a lot of people got so excessively pissed off or just, egregiously like didn't want to watch the movie because it dealt with a lot of, women's rights. What is a woman? How are they supposed to live? And, what's their place in society in today's world? And, I'm just jumping ahead. That whole monologue by America Ferrera, where you got to do this, you can't do that. That is so well done. I mean, Greta and her husband Noah Baumbach, who did Marriage Story, actually was one of the co-writers of this, and they knew what they were doing. They didn't want to preach it, but they just wanted to say, hey, it's difficult to be a woman in today's society, and not without not banging the hammer on the head nail so much, but it's just.
Oh, I think he froze.
Zach's got some technical difficulties.
But I mean, totally what he's saying is accurate. Yeah. The monologue just really brought the whole movie together and really just like, yeah, this is what we go through. This is how we're expected and not expected to be all at the same time forever. And then also I feel like it kind of goes for everyone. I mean, all of the same, not exactly the same, but very similar expectations held to men as well, and any person here, because living life is hard, man.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to not have those irrepressible thoughts of death.
Talking about this, the way it lined up was kind of perfect. I don't think you can't necessarily, I can't take credit for lining this episode up right before Thanksgiving, or can I? But the way she had the speech, I'm talking about America's character in the movie, listening to it the day before Thanksgiving about expectations and hard work and, in what the eyes of, the woman is supposed to be, like, kind of makes you thankful, honestly. And like how much she and all the other women go through, like the expectations of, is it now like everybody's expectations of going through the holiday, and listening to it the day before, it was like, man, I kind of don't know what she's talking about though, because I'm not in those shoes, but it kind of hit the feels though, because just the way it was delivered. And we don't talk a lot about America Ferrera here on the show because we just haven't talked about that many movies with her.
Mm-hmm.
But man, where has she been, and why is she not in more movies? And she plays Gloria in the movie, by the way.
I have been on America Ferrera since she was in Gotta Kick It Up. They had a reference to that movie in Barbie. Oh, I freaked out. Did y'all catch that?
Mm-mm.
I did not.
Okay, so when the husband says "Si se puede" at the end, yeah, that is a callback to movie. One of America's first movies, I'm sure, was a Disney original movie called "Gotta Kick It Up," about this Mexican group of cheerleaders who had to like fundraise all this money and get to competition and had to pay their way because they weren't kids that made a lot of money, and their like catchphrase or slogan thing was "Si se puede." So when the dad said that at the end, I was like, ah. So yeah, America Ferrera, I've loved her since day one.
The crazy thing is, I'm looking at her filmography. I think her big claim to fame was the show Ugly Betty, which ran for quite a while. But I mean, she was in Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
That's where I first saw her at.
The How to Train Your Dragon franchise. She was in End of Watch. She was also in Dumb Money this year, the GameStop stock movie with Paul Dano. So she's done a lot of stuff.
I can't wait for that.
By that. Yeah,
I want to see that. What did you guys think of going into the film and you get the opening and she starts having her crisis? That the moment that starts and you have all different kinds of Barbies and all different kinds of Kens was just, I don't know. I thought it was just brilliant, honestly.
That's the thing. That's the brilliant nature of, when they say like the stereotypical Barbie, which is Margot Robbie, and then you have like Dr. Barbie, lawyer Barbie, astronaut Barbie. It's just like I can't imagine like how much like access they had from Mattel just to say like, here's the whole entire catalog of Barbie and let's just do all the different versions. Even like later in the film, the discontinued Barbies that didn't work in like different scenarios. It's just like that's just brilliant. That's just like, not only is that good research, that's just good like screenplay. That's just good writing. And then let's talk about the two leads. Margot Robbie, obviously everyone, we've seen her in multiple things. I think she's awesome in this. I think the breakout, the steal of the show is Ryan Gosling. I crack up every single time he's on screen. And the crazy thing is just like when they said that, Ryan Gosling could be nominated for Best Supporting Actor this year, I was like, yeah, no. After seeing the movie, I was like, he could win. Like, that's not even like he could win. He is so freaking good in this.
And I think it was a popular decision to cast him as Ken, because like I didn't know there was going to be as much music in this as I did.
Yeah.
I don't think this is technically labeled a musical, but it definitely has its various scenes where it feels like a musical. But music was good.
I read something on that earlier today. The Ken dance musical break, that was actually written as a joke for Greta, and the music guy I forget his name, but sent over that song as just a joke, and then she loved it, and Ryan Gosling loved it, and so they had to make it a part of the movie. So.
I can't imagine how hard it was to film this, because it's just like, if we're the audience and we're laughing hysterically at it, I can't imagine what it was like with like Greta and all the writers and everyone behind the scenes just trying not to laugh hysterically every day going to work, which sounds incredibly fun, but at the same time when you're trying to do a job, you can't hear laughter going on and behind the scenes of the camera.
So we talked about Gloria's conversation and speech about her scene when she was trying to lift up Barbie. Let's talk about Sasha's speech when she first meets Barbie and she thinks that she's insane. She thinks she's a crazy person about, hey, you're Barbie. That's not the case. But she completely tears down Margot Robbie's version of Barbie.
Yeah.
And she walks away sad. And that girl, the little girl who told her not to go over there, is like, they never listen.
Mm-hmm.
That was tough. But that's where you get introduced to Sasha. Come to find out she's Gloria's daughter, and Barbie's looking for the person, but she ends up kind of getting it confused. It's not Sasha she's truly looking for; it's the mom.
Yeah.
What'd you guys think of escaping Barbie Land and going from Barbie Land into the real world?
It was just a perfect sequence of events. The ridiculousness of it was just so funny.
Yeah.
And the way they filmed that was great.
Well, and Daniela brought it up when she was on the show, just the practicality of this, like the sets, the Barbie Land sets, and that's just, we talked about a couple weeks ago, just the use of practical sets and effects and everything, and it just, that feels like a place that you can go to, honestly. Just how the houses are set up, the beach sequence. I love how like the beach is like, you can clearly tell it's a set, and like the waves are like very much like what it looks like on the back of a Barbie box. It's just, it's just the practicality of it was just well done. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this got nominated for Best Production Design, to be honest, because it's so well done.
We're in that season of, it's almost the end of the year. I mean, we're already at the last episode of November next week. So the Oscar nomination list should be coming out. Will they come out in February, right, Zach?
January, I think.
January. It should be interesting to see what all Barbie gets nominated for.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people didn't take this movie serious, but the closer and closer it gets, even 4 or 5 months later, now that it's made its run and it's on physical media and streaming, this movie it's still trending. It's still making
a front
money.
Runner. Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at just like what Variety and everything says, like what's the top 5 nomination films, it's Oppenheimer, Killers of the Flower Moon, Barbie, Maestro, and a couple other ones. But I mean, the fact that this came out in July and it's like clearly a front runner for some of the big awards, that's awesome. I think, and this is a whole nother discussion, but I think films like this, and even last year with Everything Everywhere All at Once winning, and that came out in March, I think these studios have kind of realized you don't need to have your film come out the last 2 months of the year. You can make a good movie and put it out whenever. Get Out was a perfect example. That came out in February, and a whole year later it won, Jordan Peele an Oscar. So it's just, all you need to do is make a good movie, and you can worry about awards and all that stuff later.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think of Kate McKinnon's performance?
To me, she was the highlight of the movie. That's who won it for me. Just weird Barbie. We all had one. We all feel like one.
Mhm.
She's just so relatable and just
Well, and I like
go ahead.
and I like how they use like the kid like drawing on her, cutting her hair, lighting her on fire. It's just like, and this is the end result of what Kate McKinnon looks like in the movie. It's just so hysterical. It's just like, that was just I think that's one of the things that like, you can clearly tell that they're writing comedy, but they're self-aware of like what they're doing. That was like the perfect example of that.
But you know what? How many times, and probably even when we were kids, the way Greta wrote this movie and directed it was like, you know what? We've all been there to where we would have little miniature, whether it's figures or dolls, and how cool would it be if whatever we played with them as ended up being what they eventually were, like in real life. Like we've all sat
Yeah.
down and just played with something physical, whether it be a doll or something. And I just like that they put that aspect into a film. Like it really does feel. And I've never touched on this before, but like we're all three technically '90s kids, and this movie to me feels like you can really feel like I don't even know if she was born in the '90s, but it feels like a movie directed by somebody from the '90s, made for kids in the '90s.
She was born in '83, so I mean, she caught like probably the Barbie hype when she, when all that was popular. Well, the different reigns of Barbie that's came out. You have any idea how much money Toys R Us would have made if they were still in business with this movie?
Oh yeah, I'm sure that. I mean, I know, going through the stores this past summer and even now, the Barbies are just flying off the shelves,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not cheap anymore. They're like $19.99 to $29.99 and more.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Speaking of Mattel and money and the powers that be, what do you guys think of Will Ferrell and his menly men with the office chase?
That character is like the complete opposite of what America Ferrera is, and especially with that speech. I love like it's just like the little witty quits is like, Barbie's like, well, have you ever thought about having a female CEO? Yeah, we tried that, it didn't really work out. It's just like the so self like this is a man in a man's world, but they want to sell dolls. It's just that's like, and that's perfect casting with Will Ferrell because who else could really
Yes.
pull that character off?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Will Ferrell was the perfect person to play that role.
What'd you guys think of when they first got to LA and Barbie was like, "Oh, look, construction workers," and then she was expecting a whole group of females to help her out, and it's like, come to find out, they're male chauvinist pigs. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we expect here in LA or any construction site, really, I guess. But
About
it
10
showed you,
seconds to get harassed
yeah,
in the
10
real
seconds.
world.
And then going and getting the clothes. And then look, she defends herself by slapping the construction worker, and they put her in jail.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. But I like how Ken's like his arc is like, oh, I gotta be, a jackass. I gotta be male driven. I gotta be all this and that. He goes to these different corporations. It's like, oh, when he goes to the hospital says, well,
Do one appendectomy.
yeah, well, you need to be a doctor. Well, I am a doctor. I'm a male. I'm supposed to be a doctor. It's like, no, it's not how that works. It's just, man, oh. Gosling in this is like, do you guys think that people were more open to Ryan Gosling in this? Like, this is his coming out party, even though he's been around for quite some time.
I mean, I feel like it was definitely the perfect role for him. He's been in so many great things already. I mean, he's was The Notebook. That was
Yeah.
him.
La La Land. Yeah.
Yeah, La La Land. And those are all amazing films that he did amazing in. But for some reason, Ken is definitely going to be what he's remembered for.
Yeah.
It just suits him so perfectly.
I think Ryan Gosling is one of those actors who you forget really how old he is, but like he's been in so many good movies that he almost has different versions of himself. So it's almost like every decade he finds another movie to make him just as popular as Leonardo
Wow.
DiCaprio or Tom
Yeah.
Cruise. So just
Yeah.
when you think you might have forgotten about Ryan Gosling, he's in another movie that just sparks, hey, do I have your attention now?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's absolutely how he is and what he does because he's remained relevant. It's not like he's been in a ton of movies doing all these little roles. He really just does the quality part of it.
Well, and the crazy thing is like, you would never think about this, especially how he looks in this movie. But he's 43. He's early in his 40s. I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, he did Barbie, The Gray Man, which was that Chris Evans movie on Netflix a couple years last year. First Man, Blade Runner 2049, La La Land, The Nice Guys, The Big Short,
He's done a lot of stuff.
The Place Beyond the Pines, The Ides of March, Drive, which Crazy Stupid Love. So it's just, he's been in a lot, big name movies. It's just, what out of the two big Ryans, Ryan Gosling and Ryan Reynolds, probably more people know Reynolds just because of Deadpool. But I think Gosling has had a better career compared to Reynolds.
Reynolds is just so freaking funny.
Those two need to be in a movie together. Let's just be honest.
No, they don't. Speaking of Ryan Gosling and just the way Ken was built and put into this movie, we talked about houses at the beginning of the episode. The Mojo Dojo. What'd you think of that scene from the time she gets back to Barbie Land? He's just completely, he owns it now. And that kind of,
Kingdom,
yeah, he owns the kingdom. And that's kind of like the beginning of the end for essentially, which is a fast-paced story, honestly. It's an hour and 50-minute movie, but man, to me, you have so much fun every scene. It just flies by.
Yeah, I agree.
And then it's like the go ahead, Ella. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say it definitely did, and that was the scene coming back to it was one of the things that was just like, I can't, like, that is what would happen if this person that doesn't understand the real world went into the real world and just saw the occurrences, and so it was just a perfect demonstration of life.
Yeah. Ella, when you went and saw this, were you was it a packed theater?
Yeah, it was.
Nice.
Yeah, because I went the first weekend, I think.
Oh, and a lot of people were doing the double feature of this and Oppenheimer, which we'll talk about next week. So, yeah, and I think this movie was always going to make money. Regardless of whether it was this and the Oppenheimer thing. The name Barbie, like you said, Ella, it sparks memories of playing with them as a kid, and you have a whole generation of kids that remember going to Toys R Us and little girls picking out the Barbie that they wanted off the shelf. That's just, I think that's just like a rite of passage. And so, yeah, I think, I think that, like I said, this movie was always going to make money, but just how good it was going to be, I think it shocked a lot of people.
Yeah, it did. Throwing out the clothes,
What was the thing with the horses? Like, I feel like I missed something. Like, Ken is just obsessed with the horses everywhere in the house and everything.
Remember when he was in LA, he had read or he'd researched that men on horses rule everything.
Oh, yeah.
From going back into the day. So he was like, if I love horses and if I can tame them and ride them,
then I can do anything. Yeah. That's right.
And then like we have the Ken song, "I'm Just Ken," the Era fight scene. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that whole sequence and choreography was perfect and hilarious.
Zach, did that make you want to have a beach off?
I think everybody wanted to have a beach off with that. So, and someone else that we just totally bypassed was Michael Cera's, the random Alan character.
Yes.
It's just, how is he not in more movies? Let's just be honest. Like, obviously we know him from Superbad, but he's a great actor. Like, we need more Michael Cera. Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim. Oh, phenomenal. Yeah. And he looks like he has not aged a day
since Superbad. No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Definitely a forever kid.
And I like how he like owns like he's Alan. He's just going to be in the friend zone this whole life. So he just takes it on and doesn't want to be part of the Kins and their little brigade of like taking over Barbie Land. So, what do you guys think about like the moral of the story? You know, obviously we talked about America Ferrera's speech, and then the flip side of Will Ferrell's character of you know, a male dominated world. But we have this very sentimental scene with like Barbie and her quote unquote creator, and like what was like the whole meaning of her creating the doll, you know. And at the end of the day, it's just, you know, she just wanted to represent not only females, but just like what does it mean to be a female, you know, in her own way. And obviously these toys were made back in the 50s, so you know, obviously we had different levels of respectability. So
What do you mean, like the aspect of just the dolls in general?
yeah, just like, you know, what the dolls were then compared to now, and just like just
I
know,
almost think you can have different meaning to the dolls depending on what decade you're in.
yeah,
I think the dolls mean so many different things to, like I said, just depending on what decade you were in. Like to the child, you know, to Sasha, she loved playing with the dolls because that's something her mom embedded into her. But later, when she was old enough to teach herself about the dolls, it kind of left a negative impact on her. So I think it
yeah,
really depends on what age group you may be in. Um, Honestly, Ella, what do you think? That was a good question. I kind of don't know how to answer it, just because I mean that's how I figured it would be, depending on what decade you grew up in. But what about you? Were you like, what does Barbie mean for you as far as the toy? What is that? You know, was it a big thing for you, or?
It really was. It was one of those things that I just felt like I could be this person, and I was definitely not that person whenever I was a kid, and I'm not that person now. But it was just that ideal that you could just. I mean, it's not like we were going to go do all these things and accomplish all this stuff perfectly, but I mean, at least we could think that we had a chance at doing it, and we could
yeah,
dream, and that's kind of what that doll was to me, was a dream. And even whenever I now, like, I have my blue hair, I saw a Barbie maybe about 5-6 years ago that had blue hair, and it had like a pink and black shirt on and
hmm,
the striped skirt. I'm like, ah, it's me.
yeah,
Like, there's a Barbie that's me.
yeah. Well, I was gonna ask, was it like a big motivating factor of just like, hey, yeah, I can be a doctor, I can be a lawyer, I can be, you know, whatever Barbie was, you know, whatever Barbie you picked up, you know, was it like a
Yeah.
motivating, like I could do this in real life?
Yeah, and I was never one of those. I mean, I had a lot of the Barbies, but I was never one to get like, oh, specifically like the nurse or specifically the doctor, whichever
Hmm.
one. I kind of just had all of them, and all of them could be whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I
Well, and
didn't
I
have the
think,
kind of money to get one for each profession.
yeah. Well, no, I think that scene is just, I think Ruth Handler, who is the creator of Barbie and one of the co-founders of Mattel, I think that scene is in the movie because it just represents Barbie has surpassed so much of what her original vision was, that it's evolved and grown. It's always going to, just because of the climate, the political climate we're in, or you know what the fad is, or you know whatever. It's always growing, it's always evolving, and I think that's what that scene is supposed to represent in the movie.
And
Yeah.
we didn't even have time really, or talk about the all the animated Barbie movies that have been out. Because if you just Google search Barbie movie, this one might pop up, but there's also like 30 other animated Barbie movies that'll pop up too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
So
it's true.
yeah, just the action word Barbie and what it stands for and what she stands for. I think they put it in very good retrospective in an hour and 54-minute film.
Yeah,
And I think even if you weren't a Barbie fan, which I wasn't, but like this movie is still fun and it's still fashionable and it's still memorable, and like I think you're gonna have a good time with it. I think if you're a honestly like a toy
Con-
fanatic,
connoisseur. Yeah,
yeah, even like, you know, whether it be GI Joe, Barbie, Transformers, anything. I think you're gonna have fun with this movie, and I think you should check it out. It's not on streaming anywhere yet, but it will
It's
be it'll eventually be on Max, I'm sure.
yeah. Well, and right now, for Black Friday, it's $9.99 at Best Buy, the Blu-ray. So
There you go.
Nice.
Yep. Go check it out. Go get your hands on the physical copy of the highest grossing movie of 2023. Um, that being said, guys, let's talk some favorite scenes. Ella, we'll start with you. Do you have a favorite scene?
Yes. So the scene when she first gets to the human world and she's sitting at the bus stop and she's kind of stops and gets to observe all the different human interactions and human emotions and just takes it all in. And it's just so beautifully done, seeing the happy, the sad, the angry, the joy, like seeing all those different emotions and her understanding like what it means to be a person was just beautiful. And then she turns to the old lady. It's like, you're beautiful. And the lady's just like, I know. So it's like they were doing that back in the Barbie world, but like we just didn't expect that in the real world. And I love that the old lady was just like, I know.
Zach, do you have any?
I think my favorite scene is like when the Barbies take back Barbie Land from Kingdom, and Barbie Ryan Gosling's Ken just has like a total meltdown and says, "Don't look at me," and just runs back into the house. That's a scene that I was just cracking up hysterical. But my favorite line in the movie was, I think it was when they were trying to devise the plan of taking back Barbie Land, and they were talking about, well, you're stereotypical Barbie, and then Helen Mirren comes out and says, "Note to producers, don't cast Margot Robbie in this role." Obviously, that's just great writing. And then yeah, those are probably my two highlights. There's a lot of great moments in this film, but those are the two that really stuck out to me. So, what about you, Johnny?
If I had to pick some, it would be the Ken, I'm Just Ken song. That entire beach fight sequence was fun.
Yeah.
I did enjoy Margot Robbie sitting down and talking to Ruth the very first time after the office chase. Anytime Will Ferrell was in the movie was hilarious. And then the Barbie discontinued scene with Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
Kate McKinnon too stood out a lot. Like Ella
Yeah.
said, she was great in this movie as well. So, yeah, phenomenal movie. Had a lot of fun. So, that being said, with how much we're talking about it, how much we like it, let's let everybody know how much we like it. I'll go first by saying, you know what, I had fun with this movie. The music, the comedy, the seriousness, the speeches, the cast, and sitting down and watching it twice in 3 days, plus the movie theater experience. It's got great rewatchability, and I think this is a fun movie you can pop in or start during your holiday traditions, and everybody is just gonna flock to the TV. So I'm gonna give this movie a 9. So, Ella, what about you?
See, I'm at an 8 because it wasn't like all the things you said. The cast, the costumes, the music were all great, but the plot could have something a little bit more to it. But it still is a great movie. It got its point across, and it's all we want out of Barbie. Just make us feel better about ourselves.
That's true. Zach?
Yeah, I'm gonna be with Ella and Daniela. I'm gonna give it an 8. I do think performance wise, production, direction, cinematography, they all really thrive in this. It's going to be very cool and fun to see where this film ends up with awards and top 10 lists and everything. I think all of us can agree this is probably easily one of the best movies of the year. Where it falls on the rankings, we'll find out. Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8. So, and it's not even plot wise. That's just where in my brain. That's just it's an 8 out of 10. So
That's still high. That's a B, I think.
Yep. B+.
So everybody go check out Barbie. Check it out on Black Friday. $10 Blu-ray. Flood the email bag, if you will. I'm gonna go over emails on the very last episode of each month from now on. That way, I can give everybody a set time. So the very last episode of each month, we'll have a big email selection. So send us in your star ratings of Barbie. Send us in your top 5 Thanksgiving faves, and we'll talk about them next week. Next week, when we talk Oppenheimer, I know another big movie came out the same day, July 21st. So that's what we're talking about next week, November 29th, Oppenheimer. So find it, go check it out, and join us next week for the episode. Guys, before we get out of here, is there anything that you guys want to, very last comments on Barbie, or maybe a Thanksgiving message before we leave the day?
Let's hope everyone stays safe. Don't do anything crazy. Don't end up in the ER.
Yeah, go watch Barbie. Check out Oppenheimer next week, and just like Ella said, stay safe, have a fun Thanksgiving, and just be kind to each other, because it's a crazy ass world we live in, and a little bit of kindness can go a long way. So
yeah, eat some extra food for us. Enjoy that family time. Watch some good stuff on TV.
Go
and don't
Cowboys.
forget, go Cowboys, and don't forget next week Oppenheimer.
Go Dogs.
On a new episode. Go Dogs. Go Parade. Go Macy's. So new episode next week, Oppenheimer on the Cine-Men movie podcast. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.